Tesla, the beacon of EV innovation, recently hit its lowest profitability in 2 years, triggering a $138 billion decline in its market value. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. As EV production surges, dealerships are buried under a mountain of unsold electric cars, pleading with automakers to halt the influx. Why the sudden slump in sales, and what's causing dealers to start dumping their unsold EVs? Let's get into some major reasons. Number 6. The EV market is crashing. The electric vehicle EV market has hit a roadblock. According to Kelley Blue Book, it's official. EVs aren't seeing the growth they once did. Their market share has dropped compared to last year. In the first quarter of 2024, EVs only made up 7.3% of the market, down from the previous year. Even when looking at year-over-year figures, it's evident that the EV market is reaching saturation. After experiencing remarkable growth for a few years, the market has stalled. Year-over-year growth in the first quarter of this year was a mere 2.6%, the lowest in a while. What's more concerning is the significant 15% drop compared to the last quarter of 2023, signaling a decline in EVs. The slowdown in EV adoption has hit Mercedes-Benz hard. In February of this year, the company revealed that it won't achieve its target of having EVs, including hybrids, make up 50% of all sales by 2025. According to the company, lackluster demand for electric vehicles has pushed back this goal to at least 2030. Meanwhile, Toyota remains steadfast in its approach, maintaining a diverse lineup that includes gasoline hybrid, plug-in hybrid, hydrogen fuel cell, and electric vehicles for the foreseeable future. General Motors is also adjusting its strategy to ensure profitability. The company has scaled back its plans to produce 400,000 EVs by mid-2024. 2 years ago, GM announced its intention to phase out internal combustion engines by 2035. However, plans for collaboration with Honda to develop more affordable EVs have been shelved. Similarly, executives at Ford have decided to postpone billions of dollars in EV investment, citing that the current production capacity is adequate to meet the demand. Number 5. A mismatch between demand and supply. Despite this, the production of EVs is not high but can be considered an all-time high, creating a mismatch between supply and demand. Dealerships are inundated with EVs, with cars piling up on lots. The oversupply has led dealers to seek alternatives, and they're turning their attention to hybrid vehicles. Hybrid cars are gaining momentum as consumers see the practicality of gradual electrification. Toyota, in particular, is experiencing considerable success with its hybrid lineup. Seeing this, dealers of other brands are eager to follow suit. Talks have already begun between Chevy, Ford, and other dealers about expanding their hybrid offerings in the coming years. The shift towards hybrids shows a changing tide in the automotive market. Dealers recognize the growing demand for hybrid vehicles, which offer a middle ground between traditional combustion engines and full electric powertrains. This shift isn't just about consumer preference, but also practicality and market dynamics. With EVs facing challenges such as range anxiety and infrastructure limitations, hybrids provide a more accessible option for many drivers. Number 4. EVs are so expensive. Sure, EVs have become more affordable in recent years, but let's be real, they're still not cheap. While the price tag on electric cars has dropped, they're still notably pricier than their gas-powered counterparts. On average, you're looking at shelling out around $55,000 for an electric ride, while gas cars come in at less than $50,000. And don't even get started on hybrids. They're even cheaper. Now, why is this a big deal? Aside from the hefty price tag, electric cars are still playing catch-up in range and performance. Plus, sales haven't been hitting the numbers everyone hoped for. So, what's a dealer to do when they've got a bunch of EVs sitting on their lot? They've got to get creative. Car manufacturers are taking a page from Tesla's playbook and slashing prices left and right. Ford, for example, is knocking up to $15,000 off the price of their F-150 Lightning. Sounds like a sweet deal, right? Well, not for dealers. With demand being lower than expected and prices dropping, there's not much wiggle room for dealers to make a profit. No room for markups means minimal profit margins, and that's not a situation anyone's thrilled about. Some dealers are flat out refusing to sell EVs. They don't want to deal with the costs of EV eligibility programs and would rather steer customers toward gas-powered cars. And you know what? In these uncertain times, that strategy kind of makes sense. Dealers are on the front lines, chatting with customers day in and day out. They know what's up in the market, and it's not looking too rosy for EVs. Number 3. Squeezed profits. Selling electric cars in the early days was like hitting the jackpot for dealers. High demand and limited supply meant they could slap on some hefty markups and pocket some serious cash with each sale. Compared to today, those profit margins were sky high. But how the tables have turned. Demand has taken a nosedive, and more EVs are floating around than there are buyers. Those fat markups? Yeah, they're a distant memory now. Manufacturers and dealers alike are scrambling to clear out the excess stock, and Tesla's recent price cuts have only added fuel to the fire. In this cutthroat environment, dealers can't rely on markups to keep the lights on anymore. Their hands are tied when it comes to pricing, often leaving them with razor-thin profit margins or, in some cases, no profit at all. Some dealers are even throwing in the towel on profit altogether, just trying to move these EVs off their lots and break even. With EVs piling up in dealer inventories, the name of the game has shifted from maximizing profit to simply getting rid of stock. It's survival mode out there, folks. And in this ever-evolving EV market, profit-making has become a Herculean task. Dealers are feeling the squeeze, and it will be a bumpy ride until the demand picks up or the supply evens out. Number 2. EV sales are at a historic low. The sluggish sales of electric cars have thrown a curveball for dealers, presenting them with some hefty challenges. It takes longer to move EV inventory, and the sales team also has to put in a lot more effort to seal the deal. Buying an electric car is a different ballgame compared to getting a gas-powered one. Back in the day, buying a car was a breeze. Pop into the dealership, take a test drive, sign some paperwork, and go off with your shiny new ride. But these days, potential EV buyers make an average of 4 trips to the dealership before pulling the trigger. Why? They're still getting their heads around EV tech and want to soak up as much info as they can before committing. While this cautious approach makes sense for buyers, it's a real headache for salespeople, especially those working on commission. They're putting in a ton more time, up to 400% more, in fact, just to snag the same commission they would get on a gas car. Essentially, they're working 3 times as hard for the same paycheck when it comes to EVs. Many potential buyers walk away without making a purchase, adding insult to injury. So, to speed up the process and save their sanity, some sales folks are resorting to shady tactics. They'll bend the truth about things like charging range or highway speeds to nudge customers back towards good old gas-powered cars, where the sales pitch is quick and painless. Number 1. Quitting seems easy. Dealers are struggling to move the EVs on their lots, and it seems everyone's throwing in the towel on electric cars. First, it was the dealers and customers, but now even the car makers are tapping out. They're scaling down production and rethinking their electrification plans. Is the market in a pickle and the whole EV economy a puzzle? Yeah, it's still unsolved, so it makes sense that everyone's taking a step back. Even the government is pumping the brakes on fast electrification. The EPA revised its electrification plan, dialing back the goal from making 2/3 of new cars all electric by 2032 to just 1/3. Plus, pickup trucks and other key segments can keep chugging on gasoline. But while car makers are dialing back, they still expect dealers to fork over big bucks for these so-called EV eligibility programs. These programs cover things like EV infrastructure, staff training, and more, and they don't come cheap. With sales in a slump, most dealers would rather not bother with EVs at all. Buick has already lost half of its dealers over it, and others are following suit. Look at Ford. Hundreds of dealers have turned their back on their Model E certification program after the recent market stumble. Lawsuits are popping up left and right, with North Carolina and Illinois dealers refusing to touch EVs, especially if it means shelling out hundreds of thousands of dollars. From where we're standing, it doesn't look like dealers will be jumping on the EV bandwagon anytime soon. and there's not much Ford or anyone else can do about it right now. So, what do you think about this scenario? Would the EV industry shine again anytime soon? Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel before leaving. See you in the next video.